And welcome everybody to Paranormal Notebook. And if you hear an echo tonight, we apologize. We have been trying to sort this out, so hang with us. We're gonna do the best that we can. And we've got Les Velez back with us. We've had Les on a couple times in the past, and it's always good to see Les. We've
Definitely so.
been through our share of health issues, so we're all upright and moving. But welcome back to the show, Les.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's always great to be with you guys.
It's always great to have you, man.
Yeah, it's always good.
It's always fun. Always fun.
Then you're still doing
We
Opus,
can make
correct?
it, sir.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, very much so.
So how's that been since the last time we talked? You even grown, expanded?
Well, this is something that we've been working on to give our experiencers a little bit more than what we have in the past. And I don't know if I mentioned that we have a triage group now. And basically, these are people that are well versed in a lot of the paranormal areas, and so when somebody comes into us for assistance, they talk to them and then try to figure out what it is that they need, and then we try to give them exactly the type of guidance and direction as best we can.
Yeah, that's great. Because I don't think people realize how much of a I don't know. I guess what's the word I'm looking for here? I was talking to a friend who's had some experiences, and the way that that's come out to him is that it's almost like a form of PTSD at times.
Oh, it is. Yeah, definitely. PTSD is a major factor. Yeah, and I just finished reading Chris Bledsoe's book, UFO of God, and when he first had his experiences, he he didn't know where to go to or who to talk to, other than his family members in his church, and unfortunately, he didn't get a lot of support. And his church people were saying he was dealing with the devil, and he was castigated, and he had a terrible time, absolutely terrible time. And these are the kind of things that happen to people that they don't, when they have an experience like this, where do they turn? Where do they go? And so they have to, sometimes start drinking. They don't know how to deal with it, or take drugs, or something. So we try to give them the kind of support that they need, and during the last couple of shows with you, we talked about the fact that we have a international online support group, and so it's something that has probably been the most helpful factor for these people, because they understand that they're not alone, and other people are having similar circumstances. Oftentimes people feel that they're going crazy, and they go to a psychologist or a psychiatrist, and they find out that they don't have a psychopathology. They're totally sane. So then what do you do? Where do you turn?
Right.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
you're supposed to go from there.
True.
Right.
Exactly.
No, I'm doing something. I'm moving around. Everybody stay with us.
Yeah.
We're trying to solve this echo problem.
Yeah,
I'm wondering-
I've got a terrible one on my end.
So I've moved to the other side of the studio.
Hmm.
I'm literally right in front of the. We went on MetroNet, and I never had this issue till we started using MetroNet, and I do not have a hard wire, into the device itself. So that may be why we're getting a lag
Yeah.
and maybe an echo. I mean, I'm not the expert, but when I've used this elsewhere and I've done a couple live things, I don't get this at all. Only here at my house. So not that anybody cares that's watching, but just in case you're wondering what the hell's going on with the sound, that's happening. There's a picture of my old car.
Oh, wow.
Not that anybody cares. Yeah, that's the old Echo. The Slimer. I don't have that
man.
anymore.
Have you seen the new Ghostbusters movie?
Oh, absolutely.
I bet you have.
We were charged from all the Imagine theaters in Michigan, asked our coalition to go and man the theaters and be there for the premiere and take pictures.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, so we got to see it pretty much. Some of us before people, the public did, and that would be other people in my group, and then the rest of us got to see it about the same day that it premiered.
Right.
Across America.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, but I'm planning to.
I think you'll like it.
I haven't seen it yet. I still feel bad.
Yeah, it's just a continuation. As we were talking about, with no support and all this kind of thing going on, and this is why you're doing what you're doing. It's still important because it's cross-border. It's not just ghosts. It's UFOs. It's Sasquatch, cryptid experiences. I mean, it's across the board, right?
Oh, yeah. Totally, and we are affiliated with other organizations that we can send people to. If you have a cryptid situation going on, send it to or a poltergeist activity, things like that. So that we can try to recommend other places that they can go to get the kind of help that they might need. Yeah, because the paranormal is huge. A huge area. Just a lot of different things going on.
Yeah, there is a lot of things going on. So what about how you still connected with the MUFON stuff?
Yes.
You're still doing that too?
Yeah. I'm a research consultant for the ERT, their experiencer resource team, and so that's basically something that I got started years and years ago. I don't know if I told you this story, but back in like the early 2000s, I suggested to the international director at that time that they were missing the boat on these people that were contacting them and saying that they needed somebody to come out and investigate this case where they've had contact with these non-human intelligences, and they basically didn't have a mechanism to deal with it. And so all the phone calls that were coming in to MUFON at that time, they were redirected to me. And so I would talk to these people and find out what was going on, and then try to give them the kind of help that they needed, or at least just to talk to them, like a warm body to listen to their story, because a lot of cases that's what they wanted. They didn't need a support group or anything, but they just wanted to tell their story and find out if they felt that, did I feel that they were crazy? And I said, well, the bottom line on all this stuff is that there's some strange stuff going on. We don't understand fully what it is, but the bottom line is very real. And a lot of these people have had physical marks. They've had indications that something definitely did happen to them. It wasn't just a dream, a lucid dream or something.
I'm trying to work something. Go ahead, Les.
Yeah. Well, so the bottom line is that they did that for a while, and then finally they got the idea that they should do this, and that's when Kathleen Martin got involved, and she started up the ERT group, and So we work with them. Opus works with them in the sense that we share resources, like as far as therapists, mental health practitioners, and hypnotherapists, and other support groups that are out there. So we exchange information.
Yeah. Well, that's
Now,
what it's all supposed to be.
how do you go about how do you go about interacting with the people? Do you do it over the phone? Do you go and visit them? Do they come and visit you?
No, there's
How do you go about?
well, for instance, the support group, confidential, is international. So it's not possible to physically go there in many cases, but we have Zoom. We have Zoom capability that we can interact with people over Zoom, or we can do emails with them. We can do phone calls with them. So there's multiple ways that we can interact with them. But basically, we don't have field investigators like MUFON has. That's one thing we don't have, and that's not what we really are. We can accomplish what we need to accomplish via those other means, whether it's Zoom, phone, or email, to point them in the right direction. And for those people that are looking for a mental health practitioner or a hypnotherapist, we can then refer them to these people.
Hmm, interesting.
Yeah.
So
So there's been a lot. There's been a lot, going on here. We haven't heard about it, the latest congressional hearing.
nope.
That's been kind of quiet because I think there's been too much going on in Congress right now as far as trying to solve other issues like making sure the government is funded. That was one thing, and then now they got this bill going about supporting Ukraine and Israel. Um, so the focus has kind of disappeared for a while, but behind the scenes, I understand that there's still quite a bit of interest in making sure that this goes further and that we get more clarity, more transparency with regard to the phenomena. I guess the last thing that really happened was that the Pentagon came out and basically said, "Oh, we don't have any crashed UFOs. We don't have any bodies or anything like that." Basically contradicting Grush. But what I come to understand that this situation is so compartmentalized that if you don't talk to the right person in the right group, they may not have any idea or knowledge of that. So it truly depends on who the hell you're talking to.
Yeah. That's very true. And sometimes some of the people who are unfortunately put in charge of some of those departments or things you're right, they don't have a clue. They're like, well, that's why I'm here. I'm here to run it, but there's other people that do the work.
Yeah.
And I'm not, I hear that a lot, unfortunately. But I certainly would not be engaged in anything that would happen like that on my end. I definitely want to know what the hell's going on. I wouldn't micromanage it to death, but these people need an outlet, me included, because I still have experiences. I'm still coming across things. And luckily, I'm involved enough and believe in this enough that I don't have to go to therapy or anything of that nature. But other people need that. You're right. They need that outreach. They need researchers too. I wish more people would get involved in the research into this. Being that I just, not just simply looking up some information off Wikipedia,
Right.
Whatever that may be. Wow, I hear a noise. Okay, weird.
I keep hearing a crackling and popping.
It's like somebody was playing with a microphone. But it's more than just going out and reading Wikipedia.
Right.
taking things off the internet. Go to your local library. Go to your local historical society. When you look into a lot of these paranormal things, including maybe sometimes even some of the UFO stuff, because I came across by accident this big airship mystery that was all across parts of the Midwestern United States, and it ended here. It ended here, and getting what year it was called the Great Kalamazoo Airship Mystery, and they saw way before a dirigible was supposed to be a thing. They saw this craft which was moving slowly. I'm sure you've heard of the Midwest to California and how it traveled through like parts of Kansas, Wyoming, all these places. And you could literally see this object, and men were walking on the deck, what looked like to be men, but it made no noise. And it got over a farmer's land out here in Michigan, near us, out here near Climax Scott's area. And there was an explosion. People saw it for miles around, and they found parts of this motor and the propeller and some different things. And it's always funny how they find this stuff, they report on it, and then along amounts of time, these relics disappear.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It gets mishandled, or don't want to point at the Smithsonian, because they have a habit of disappearing things. But I'm just saying it's come up missing. But at the time, it was very easily reported on.
Yeah.
You can look it up, and I looked into the papers when it was reported. The reporter that went out there, the farmer's testimony. It's crazy, and it's UFO. This is a UFO from like the 1890s, 1900s. And people have been seeing these things. As we said before on past shows, they've been seeing this stuff way back at the beginning of time.
Oh yeah,
right?
This has been going on for eons. Absolutely,
Eons, right? That's a good word. Eons. That's a good word.
It's. Yeah, I mean, there's cave drawings, 40,000 years ago, and with and then the Native Americans of all their petroglyphs and things like that, all these strange creatures that they have drawn, and I mean, history is rife with all of this stuff. It's just all over the place, and it's just there's this common, general belief that the mainstream does not want to shake up anything. Okay, this is okay. This is okay the way it is now. We don't want to bring in any real information or new information. We're just going to keep it the way it's been, and don't bother me.
Yeah, I just
don't bother me with the facts.
The facts aren't real. It's our made up stuff that's real. It's I just watched this show last night, which was made a TV movie in 73 or 4 with Kurt Russell, a couple of people were in it, and it was called In Search of the Gods, right? And this was one of the symbols. And I've seen this on the Nazca lines.
Yeah.
And what they were inferring is that there were these pieces of medallion they were trying to search out. That's what the show was going to be, but they didn't buy they played the movie on TV, but they didn't pick it up as a pilot. And because I went looking, it's like, hey, that looks like a series.
Yeah.
And it was talking about visitors that came down across different continents, because one of the pieces had been found in China, 2 of them here in the Western United States. And they found this tomb, which looked to be almost Aztecian or Egyptian. And they were alluding to the fact that space visitors were here. They were here and they were going to come back.
That picture that you just showed me just triggered something.
Yeah.
Just take a look at this. If I can get this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. His headdress. Right.
Yeah. And this matter of fact, I even drew the Nazca line one next. I can't get this to work out here. Here we go.
There it is.
So there it is. And then down here, let's see if I can get that focused somehow. I'm having fun with this. Okay. Anyway, yeah, there it is.
Paranormal.
Yeah. So anyway, I think there's a lot of connections, when you really start thinking about it. How did these I think this was this was called the crown dancer. How did they come up with a headdress like that?
Yeah,
I mean,
because
it looks like
it cross sections like with the Hopi, the
Yeah.
Navajo,
yeah.
different Native American cultures, including the Central and Southern American, and it's
Mm.
the same symbol.
I
Now,
mean,
how would that happen?
these are electronic symbols.
Yeah,
These are like resistors, you know. I
crazy.
mean, it's like, yeah, there's so many connections.
I laugh in my
Well,
mind.
that's really
and
fun
laugh
too.
out loud.
Wow. Somebody else is like on this line.
Being the historian that I am,
Boy, you're coming in terrible, Drew.
Say what?
You're coming in terrible, Drew.
Say what? Yes, the question.
can't you guys hear me?
Your
Yeah,
mic's breaking. It's coming in
You're
and out.
breaking up.
Can't you hear me?
Your mic's
Yeah.
I hear my dog.
Yeah.
Did you hear
How
my
about
dog
now?
over there? She's quite loud. Well, as I said,
Yeah.
it's cross cultures, and you're right.
Mhm.
Some of these look like computer panels, resistors,
Yeah.
connectors, and it's not by accident. I'm not a huge believer in coincidence when it happens on such a large scale.
Mhm.
And they all, each continent, each culture, including European cultures that were before them, even some of the Danes and the European
Sure.
areas, they early on they all speak of having these contacts with these so-called gods. And to early man, you could have come down from, let's say, we're space traveling. We hit a vortex. We now know that we can travel through this to this planet. We're amazed we get to this planet because it's in medieval, or it's in whatever period of time it is, like Star Trek, like you
Yeah.
find a class on planet and we go down there and land. We try not to be seen, but unfortunately we're seen, and we make contact with these people to try not to interfere as much as possible, or we
Right.
do. And they think we're gods because obviously they would look at my digital watch and think,
Mhm.
I can't get that to work right now. We're just having a paranormal night. Look at this guy. Everybody watch. Look at this. There it is.
Oh, wow.
So,
There you go.
and they
Uh-huh.
would think that's magic,
Yeah.
or
Exactly.
your gods. We would have somebody would be injured and we could render assistance. So it does not stretch your mind to believe that may have well be behind some of our Greek myths, or we could get into a whole discussion less about Anunnaki, and it goes on and on, the Nephilim,
Oh,
and
sure.
all
Oh,
these
sure.
people. And I think there may have been something to them being aliens as well, especially when our gene research now tells us that we've been engineered, and then everybody's fine with it. Nobody raises a guff. Nobody says a damn thing about it. I've noticed that too, because there's so much distraction going on. Everybody's like, whatever.
Mhm.
It's, well, how is it whatever?
Yeah, well, Gary Nolan from Stanford University, posited the fact that where we are right now, based on how often our genome mutates, um, like 600,000 years is when
Right.
these changes happen, and he said that in order for us to be where we are, this
Right.
planet would have to be 9 billion years old, but all the geologists and everybody says, no, we're only 4.5 billion years old. Okay. Well, if that's the case, then somebody messed with us, eons ago to get us where we are, if we are in fact 4.5 billion years old, because it happened too quick. So yeah,
You're right. You're absolutely right. Yeah. And the theory of straight line, standing up and moving upright and walking, it just
Mhm.
does not hold water. I don't think it does by any means, because there would thinking there's a missing link.
Right.
And if you're going to go by what science says, some of those procedures don't just stop. Not procedures, but some of those things do not just stop. I'm at a loss for words, brain surgery, that whole thing, folks.
Right.
I still trying to connect, because we granted every couple of generations of man, we're getting bigger, stronger, taller. I think it's what we're feeding ourselves, and there's been some gene rearranging and things in our food supply and that kind of stuff as well.
Right.
But I just don't think that we're from here. Maybe a part of us was, or portions of us were, but how many different species do we have now that we're finding out that are humanoid, that we're not even cousins, we're not related. There is no genetic material that links us to this Cro-Magnon man or this man or that man or the midget
man.
or the hobbits or anything else. And you're just, how do you, everybody sits here and they do the Star Wars thing. You remember this, the Star Wars line, hey, it's fine. It's fine here. We're all fine. Everything's fine. You're fine. We're fine. And nobody seems to really push back on that enough in connection with this, with the alien thing. And I know where Dr. Lynch stands. David's been on our show many times, and he's a believer in the Palladians, and I love listening to him, because even though I think some of it's very far out, but is it really? Because what do you think about the Antarctic stuff, Les?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. I think that there's a whole nother situation there that probably goes back thousands and thousands of years, where there was probably some kind of base set up there. And now it's all buried under miles of ice. I'm listening to Linda Howe's conversation with the two gentlemen that were basically in that facility. That's pretty remarkable. By the way, I just noticed we don't have an echo now.
Yeah, don't jinx it.
Oh,
don't jinx it.
What did Drew do? Drew did something.
I don't know. Whatever's been done. Let's just the alien service, and they're helping us out.
Okay.
They want to be known. I watched a horror movie, which made sense to me, and whoever wrote this was, I think, was in tune with the whole UFO alien thing, and it was called "It Came from Outer Space." Now, these aliens had no intention to be here. Once you get into the movie, then they're kind of kidnapping people's personalities. They weren't killing anybody, but we had the sheriff and other people they're so out of their mind afraid that the first thing they want to do is shoot something they don't understand.
Right. Exactly.
And the one guy involved, the scientist, was trying to tell him no, that they crashed there by accident, and it was too soon for contact. And that they didn't mean us any harm, but we were not ready for how they looked. It was a big giant eyeball looking thing. And back then, I'm sure it was shocking. And I liked the way it was put together. Unfortunately, there was one of the aliens, got shot, and it's in the process of not understanding what's going on. But he helped them buy enough time that they got away at the end, and everybody was safe.
So
far out of this time,
Well, the Hollywood is certainly tapped into this whole phenomena. I don't know if you've seen the series Resident Alien.
Oh yeah, love it. Yes, love it.
I mean, their stuff is right along the lines of what I'm dealing with. I mean, all the things that they bring up and how they bring it up in the series. So obviously they have somebody that's giving them the kind of assistance that they need to put all this together. And now there's a group. I don't know if you've heard about this group called UAP Med. No, excuse me. No, but that's not what I was actually thinking of. Well, the group that I'm thinking of is the Hollywood Disclosure Alliance.
Yes, I know of them too. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, that's an interesting combination of, people involved with the UAP UFO field and people involved with Hollywood. and so they're now trying to, gather as many people together to, put the word out in as many ways as possible. So
When did we start using, what is it, UFP?
UAP.
UAP. I
Yeah.
mean, why did we have to change it from UFO to
Well, I think UFO has
Good.
kind of, boy, you're really breaking up, Drew. Reason being is that UFO has baggage. Okay,
That's
it's
weird.
it's weird. It's the funny people with their aluminum hats, the tinfoil hats and things
right,
like that,
right,
and so they wanted to bring it into the discussion in a more scientific way, supposedly. Say,
right.
unidentified anomalous phenomena.
Drew's got
Uh,
his right there in his lamp. Yeah, it's they to rebrand it, to
yeah,
bring it in
basically,
more of a different light. Because
exactly.
I think Damien Knott, who's a friend of ours, I still talk to Damien on and off. He was one of the first people that was using that before it really got started being used over here, because he has this light phenomenon that seems to be attracted to him. I've seen it.
Mhm.
I've seen him, video. He's been on shows where live this has happened, and he's interesting to talk to, and he's got a mindset of a lot of the UFO people, and as the UFO society is much like the paranormal society, where there's infighting, there's
Oh,
drama, it's
yeah,
with the
it's
cryptids,
unfortunate.
everything. It is. It's with all of them, and people like you, I tend to listen to more. Obviously,
Mhm.
I follow what you do, and some of the stuff that Michael Lynch says too. I watch some of the same, more different people same of the. Wow, brain surgery, folks. I do not recommend it. Let's slow down, rewind. I'll try to say it again, Les.
Okay.
Um, where I was going with that, again, now the thought's almost out of my head. This is a scary thing. I'm still healing. Where I was trying to go with that is there are different people who do not know Michael, but they're on Gaia, who are repeating some of the same things and in different ways, but it's some of the same experiences and the same
Mhm.
knowledge, which really makes my ears perk up. And I listen to this stuff, especially ex-military people who are reporting that, there's bases underground, that they've been on the moon, all sorts of fantastic stuff. And you're just like,
Mhm.
well, how much of it do we believe?
Yep.
Yeah, unfortunately, we've been down this path, 70 years ago, and then we were down this path 50 years ago, and then down this path 30 years ago, and we almost keep going over the same territory. However, last year, certainly opened up a whole new horizon as far as trying to understand what's going on with these, now Rush coming forward in favor, and Graves, you know, testifying in Congress, and there's a lot more momentum going on right now
Yeah.
that we've never had before, and so hopefully we're going to get past this thing. Hopefully this year. Keep my fingers crossed, unless we get involved with World War III between Israel and Iran, throwing nukes at each other or something, which is a distinct possibility. I mean, that place is a powder keg, and it's all revolving around religion. It's like,
Yep. Dumbest thing. Dumbest thing. Well, yeah. Yeah. I don't know if I'd call. Yeah. We could do a whole show on that. I'm really,
oh, oh man.
yeah. I'm just saying, I would never call
Oh
Hamas
yeah.
any kind of religion, but
Mm.
unfortunately, it's in a region where bad things are happening, and it's you make my brain hurt. Yes, let's stay on
Sorry.
the conversation, because I don't ever mean to get political. I'm like probably like a man of like you, who's like, what's right, what's wrong, and can't we just there's got to be ways.
Can't we all agree? Can't
Yeah,
we all get along? Can't
get
we get
along,
along?
or just
Please.
agree not to get along and just not shoot each other. That would be
Yeah.
Well,
Definitely.
a perfect example. I mean, what's going on in Congress. Oh my God. what a fiasco. And this coming election and what's going on with Trump and everything. Oh my God, it's just crazy time. Crazy time. And then we try to talk about UFOs and and this kind of thing where most people, they get up in the morning, they have breakfast, they go to work, they come home in the evening, they have dinner, they watch a little TV, they go to bed. Next morning, they go through the same routine, and they never think about this kind of stuff because they got to put food on the table, you
Yep.
know, and so. But there is definitely now a lot more um, people understanding that something is going on, and it's thanks to people like yourself that have shows like this that
I was
put the word
gonna,
out.
yeah, I was gonna ask you. Has any UFO? I'm going to stick with that. Okay, that's what I know.
Okay.
Has there been a spike in these showing up more now that there's some very serious things going on? Because in the past, there seemed to be a slight spike. And how
It's
about
it's co-
now?
it- it's constant. It's constant.
Yeah,
And what's happening between social media um, showing a lot of this stuff. You can go on TikTok or on Instagram or whatever other social media you might have, and there's videos of these objects. The reports are very constant into MUFON. Their numbers are increasing,
I bet.
um, and we get 2 or 3 people contacting us a week for assistance of some sort. Um, and I think we have almost 400 people now that have joined the support group, and
Wow.
they talk 24/7 with each other, talking about their experiences, asking questions. Um, you know, so it's been really interesting, and it's not going to slow down. It's only going to get more because everybody has a camera in their pocket with their phone. We have
Yeah,
everybody's got
that's
smartphones.
the amazing thing. Yeah, I mean, I can tell when somebody's AI'd something or CGI'd something on
Yeah.
TikTok stuff, but there's a lot of amazing. Just they're out filming their vacation, even the
Yeah.
Sasquatch footage now because people have put up cameras in eagles' nests and Yosemite and all sorts of places, and this thing doesn't know that, and unbeknownst to them, they're walking right into the field of view. So
Mm-hmm.
hopefully we'll
Yep.
catch more. Hey, everybody, stay with us. This is Paranormal Notebook. We seem to have worked out some of the difficulties, and we're with Les Velez, a good friend, and I want to thank Les for checking on me when I was going through brain surgery and different things and asking how I was doing. And thank you for that, my brother.
You
You
got it.
too, Drew. You guys always keep track of me. I don't know what I did to deserve such good people in my life, but I thank you for that. We're gonna take our first break here, and I want everybody to stay tuned. You will hear my voice because we also do an audio version of this, which I've got 2 ready to release. This will be the 3rd to work on. We'll be back right after this, and we're going to talk about our sponsors of the program. So everybody stay with us. We're going to be right back. And here we are, and what we're going to talk about is the sponsor to this great program and many others, such as the network that we are part of. That's the unrestrictedradio.com. You'll see it right down below on the banner. That's unrestrictedparanormal.com. And we're also going to be back on Unrestricted Radio. So very cool. So go to www.unrestrictedparanormal.com. That is our network. We'd like to thank our sponsors of this program, which are Henderson Castle, hendersoncastle.com. It's an 1895 bed and breakfast right here in downtown Kalamazoo. You can book your next stay at this beautiful home of Frank and Mary Henderson of the Henderson Ames Company. Frank did not get to live in the house very long. It was completed in 1895 after slated to be built in 1888. And unfortunately, he had 2 strokes, and his wife maintained the household and lived there till her death in 1908. And it's just been a historic value. So book your next stay at an 1895 bed and breakfast right here at hendersoncastle.com. Once a month on the event calendar, you will see we have a haunted dinner tour. Yours truly will take you on that tour. That's right, me. So we'll see you there. Also, let's thank Black Coffee, not just black coffee, Gun Barrel Black Coffee. Gun Barrel, you've had the rest, try the best. Gunbarrelcoffee.com. They've got a slew of coffees named after so many different military things. I've had Battleship, I've had Medic. Now, Medic is a CBD oil extract coffee. And I will tell you from experience, with a little bit of tongue in cheek and laughter, that I didn't read the directions right away. And you're supposed to half and half with this. Okay. So, I got the best sleep in my life by just making a full cup of CBD oil Medic coffee, but you're supposed to half and half it, folks. But go to gunbarrelcoffee.com. It's roasted by veterans, owned by veterans, 4 generation of roasters. $1 for each purchase goes to help veteran organizations across the United States. And if you put this code in, GRC10, when you make your first purchase, you'll get a 10% discount, as well as Big Dog 13. We'd also like to thank the Southern Michigan Paranormals. And we are back after I did all that talking and stumbled through some of it. It is what it is, man. It is what it is. I had brain surgery just over, almost a year and a couple of months. So I'm still healing. See, I hear a little bit of the echo, but it's not as bad. So carry on. So our special guest, Les Velez, is with us, and we've been talking about some UFOs, and let's move into the cryptid area. We have a friend, James Shubsky, who was just on with us a couple of weeks back. And it's funny, I came across these old films from 74 and 75 about Sasquatch and Bigfoot, and how back in the day they were touted as the most amazing Bigfoot film you'll ever see. It'll shock you. There's one with Peter Graves. There's 2 others that have Pete Burns in all 3 of them, the late Peter Byrne. And, and some of the stuff they talk about is still very relevant today, including the High Sierra recordings, of the language and the whooping. But that seems to be, as James was saying there, it's constant. Same with UFO activity, seems to be almost connected sometimes, and it's very prevalent. Now, do you get a lot of people that report into you where they're coming across not just Sasquatch, but like certain different cryptids, like, Dogman type of stuff and other things?
Well, as it turns out, of course, in our mission statement, we talk about the fact that, various other paranormal activity, but most of the people, for whatever reason, that contact us are having contact with non-human intelligences, which are typical. The Greys probably are the number one thing that comes across. And then we talk about praying mantis types and reptilian types and Nordic types, and even our military comes up occasionally. But one of the things that is very common when people talk about the fact that they've had a Sasquatch sighting is that there's a UFO sighted as well. There's a real close correlation between those 2 things. And so and how these things seem to be able to disappear, you're following tracks, and then all of a sudden, no tracks. and so are they basically being, taken back up into these craft, or are they interdimensional in nature, which is probably more of a likelihood, because people talk about the fact that, are these things extraterrestrial? Are they interdimensional? Are they time travelers of some sort? So it could be all the above. It could absolutely.
It might explain some of the light sources that are seen around some of the, seeing some of these creatures, I guess, as well.
Mm-hmm.
Could be interdimensional, and they may know where these portals. They may be sensitive to know, where these portals are happening out there. Which, could even explain some of the aircraft that have been missing out there. We have found quite a few in the last couple of years, which has been pretty amazing. But there's others that they're just gone. They just disappear up there,
Mhm.
and you think by now there would have been some sort of wreckage or something spotted,
Yeah.
from the air. But who knows? According to some of the native tribes, they believe that their mysticism would tell you that this is a being that can travel in and out.
Mhm.
And I never
Oh,
gave
yeah.
too much credence to it, but if I'm going to believe in the spirit realm, why not open my mind up to that? Who's to say?
Well, exactly. I think it's a different reality that we just don't
Well, I
understand.
mean, and who?
Wow. That was weird, and I'm frozen.
I see.
Who's
You're
to
still
say
moving on my,
this?
what?
We're but we're back on the
Yeah, you're still
echo
moving.
thing.
I still
Yeah.
see Les. You're still moving. Everybody's still moving.
Okay. Yeah, I froze for a second there. Anyway, that could be on my end, the freezing, but
I think I'm gonna. I think not to diss StreamYard, but I told Bob Penny that I think I'm gonna go back to Skype and see how better Skype works.
mhm.
We'll see. We'll see how this works.
Yeah,
But I need a
no.
special hookup to be hardwired to this new laptop.
Mhm.
Doesn't take a standard plug. It takes almost like a cell phone plug, which is
Oh,
weird.
wow. Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. It's an HP. It is what it is. But go ahead with what you were saying, Les.
Yeah. So anyway,
Can you guys hear me?
I can see you.
yeah. Anyway, I think that that these things are just beyond our understanding at the present time, and you talk about orbs. These things are amazing. That I mean, I got involved with an orb that I did not see it, but it was over my head, and a person was taking pictures, and this orb was red. It was red, bright red, and it had like a little yellow cap on the top of it. And this person was taking digital uh, pictures, not video, but just taking pictures. And the little yellow cap on this thing, every frame, it moved. It moved. So it was actually moving. And this same person, um, this was in Sedona. I was in Sedona years ago, and I met this person. And she would get these feelings that something was there, and she started taking pictures. And when took a look at the digital pictures, you could see these things. And one of the ones she showed me, and she blew it up,
Hmm.
and it was a gray alien in it. Okay, right up front, looking straight out, and then behind him or it. There was another one looking in a different direction, and then there was a third one looking in another direction. So it was like this portal. And that's what they're starting to think about these things, that these orbs could be these floating portals that we're dealing with.
Yeah,
So that,
there's always been controversy around it, for years. And I'm with you. I think that there's a lot that are something we don't understand because, understanding, the false positives and how they can be created by, you've heard it all, the dust, bugs, moisture,
oh yeah,
a lip hair. But when you've got a situation where you're not getting any the night when you're in a place, any at all, and now all of a sudden when you start asking questions, you start to see these. And Drew's heard me give this lecture before, where what I look for is that sometimes if you're in a room, if there's a wall and something shows up and the camera sees that you don't, but it's casting a shadow, that is not a bug or a piece of dust. You're right. Or if I see colors, or if it seems to move in a progression, I think it's been very estimated in what they are over the years because so many people wanted to think that it's foreign material.
Right.
And I believe there is something to them because I'll tell you, Les, I had an experience with my team where we're in a basement in Michigan here. It's probably 7 degrees outside. It was pretty cold. We had no heat, no electric to this house. We had a wood burning stove going upstairs in the living room so we could go up and get warm. We did have a generator outside so we could run our equipment. And as I'm sitting upstairs watching the monitor, I watched an orb about the size of a golf ball. It was blinking. It came out of a fuel oil container that was in the basement. And it went in between each of the girls, went around each of the girls to not touch them. There would be no insect in there in the middle of winter. None.
Right.
Okay, we know
That's
that.
true.
And it went up a set of steps and then took a left and then seemed to go up into the door to the room where we were. And as I look into the camera that you can see that door on, you see nothing. And so I'm not sure what to think. So with, like you said, I think there's something to them. I do believe the more that we're researching the spirit contact, including, these devices now where you can take a radio set and with copper wiring and go back to the old school, and you're picking up voices that are on certain frequencies, as long as you're scanning all these open frequencies and not filtering it with so much white noise that you can't hear these voices. We seem to be getting contact.
Yeah. Well, there's definitely. I mean, I interviewed a woman. It's on. Matter of fact, it's on our YouTube site and it's on our website. That basically she went into an old southern mansion, and she basically started picking up these voices with her EVP equipment, and what she was hearing was gunshots. And it sounded like what was going on was that it was like the Civil War. And then all of a sudden, what she started to get was feedback saying, you look like you're dead. And they were talking to her. And so there was this visual thing that was also going on at the time.
That's altered, yeah.
So this whatever time period that was, they were connecting to our time period, and they were looking back at her and saying, you look kind of dead. And it was like the strangest thing. That interview is on my website and also on YouTube, and it's like bizarre, very bizarre.
It lends itself to the movie The Others. Sure, she's thinking that her house is haunted when the whole time she's the one who's dead. Yeah, we've gotten the same stuff that they tell us we're dead. Do you know why we're here? And then they'll repeat ghosts. But then when I think about it, I think that's what they're calling us, because their perception, some of their perception, and how much observation, or I don't want to say intelligence, but what's the word I'm looking for cohesive thought. Not all of it might not be there, and for them, they're confused, and others, it's very clear that they understand that they're dead. In fact, I have asked, are you aware of each other, when I was in a cemetery, and they said, yes. Do you talk to one another? And they're like, yes, we do. So almost like the movie The Frighteners with Michael J. Fox, where they're talking to each other and they're all aware of each other. That seems to be going on as well. But then, as you said, there's other things, like Civil War sounds. And I just saw a thing today where a group was in the, I forget her name, the young lady who shot through the door in town when the battle was going on. She was making bread and the bullet went through and killed her. And they finally got an EVP, I think, of her speaking, and she said, I see you. And I've heard that before. I ask a lot of off the beaten path questions, as well as the standard. But it's just I explain to them that sometimes we repeat this, or the new people are going to come in behind us and repeat the same things because
Right.
this is the only way we can communicate to you, and we'd like to hear your story or tell us what it is you may need. And there's times we're very happily surprised that they're willing to speak with us, or sometimes they don't want to, or they don't want us in their space.
Yeah.
And I can understand that. There are some people who seem to be still very angry or distraught about their own death. And
Yeah.
it seems they don't want to speak to anybody.
Do you
I've
find
heard
that
of many cases.
what, Drew? I don't know. Okay. I
You're
was
freezing up. Yeah, he's freezing up.
yeah.
I said I've heard of many cases where people have been conducting investigations.
He's got such a bad connection.
Yeah.
That is
Really
so
bad.
weird.
Go ahead, Les.
Wow.
Yeah, I would imagine that most of these people that are angry had deaths that were not planned, or they weren't sick for a long time. They were all of a sudden shot, or they were run over by a car, or something bizarre happened to them.
I've seen where people have died in, we talked about this before. People have died in foreign countries, foreign wars, and they show back up here at home.
Wow.
Either looking as they did before they went off, or when they were children. And I've heard of that many times too. And some people ask me, well, how is it that this person passed away, but then they come back as a child? Like, well, here's what I know about the paranormal. Nothing. I've given you my best guess as to where we are now and what we think is going on, but it happens. And why some people are like, well, they can't come back, and they're they're wearing a suit of clothes, and maybe it's not the suit they were buried in. I mean, I get all sorts of scattered questions, which I think they do it to try to trip me up sometimes, to think where I'm going to go with it.
Right.
And, like always seeing the woman in white, which would be a burial shroud. And,
right.
But, I think they realize that a lot of people were buried in clothing or formed clothing. Which is that's why I hate some of these Walking Dead shows, because the minute they're up out of the grave, they'd be naked. Because it's just the top part of the clothes. The backs aren't there.
Right.
These people seem to think that somebody stood them up in a chair and they dressed them in a suit coat. And that's not what they did. So it is what it is.
What's interesting right now is the fact that I'm delayed and there's no echo. You see how delayed I am? That is weird.
Yeah, but it's good I can hear your voice.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good. It's just not in sync with what my mouth is doing. Anyway, but there's no echo. That's great. Yeah. So, all of this stuff is so connected. You talk to these experiencers, and they have conversations with these non-human intelligences, and they talk about reincarnation, and how that's part of the way the universe works. That's how the universe works.
Right.
That this is something that is the way things occur. And so you're hearing this from these non-human intelligences and saying that, yeah, this is something that is happening. This is the way it is. And I've had I've been regressed three times, and because somebody told me one day in one of the support groups, I've seen you before, and I said, where, at a UFO conference? No, I saw you on board the craft. I said, really? Oh, that's interesting. And I kind of blew it off. Then it was like a year and a half later, 2 years later, that somebody said the same thing to me. And I said the same thing. Where, at a UFO conference? Said, no, I saw you on board the craft. You were sitting on this bench naked, and you were freaking out. And they told me to go over to you to calm you down. So we're getting music?
It's space music. I thought it was appropriate for you, so I was trying to, put it in the background for you, buddy.
Okay. I was wondering.
It's
I
like
thought it was like
another
it was
thing to
like.
throw us off, right?
I thought it was
I just apologized to Drew.
Uh-huh.
Oh, and I just said connections off. Oh, but he does a lot of stuff through his phone, and so we got a rain and a storm moving through here, so it's probably screwed up his connection.
Oh
But
yeah.
I'm almost thinking that whatever he's doing on his end, causes this echo. I don't think he realizes it, and it's nothing. I don't think it's his fault per se, but I don't know. We'll figure it out because now there's no echo.
No, it's perfectly fine. Other than the fact that I'm out of sync.
You're out of sync. I think you know what. Let's start a band, Les. We'll call it Out of Sync.
Out of sync.
Out of sync.
Right.
Two old guys singing the old standards, man. Some Blue
that's
Eyes
good.
himself. Yeah, I'm a big Sinatra fan.
Oh man, yeah, me
Yeah,
too.
it's always fun talking to you, and,
Oh, yeah,
and going over some
absolutely.
of this stuff. Now, are you working on any books or anything new right now?
Well, not in a book, but we're in the process of looking at our 2-year plan and coming up with things that we might want to accomplish. And so we're just starting to chew over the ideas and seeing what's the latest thing actually that we have already agreed to do is that we're going to have ongoing educational credits for therapists. In other words, we would put on these sessions for them where they would get continuing education credits
Right.
for their work, and so we're in the process of getting that set up. So that's new. That's brand new, and so hopefully we're going to be able to accomplish that task. In a field that's kind of different.
It is different, but it's interesting how many people I see involved in what you do, what I do, that they're actually teaching like some paranormal 101 classes at at community colleges. Like charging certain amount for people to come there, and it's
Right.
like I don't know if they get credits or whatever, but the lecturer gets paid like I would get paid. I thought about maybe doing that here locally, and just talking about my experiences, what we do, how you get started in this. And I think that's a funny thing too. I think so many people watch all the shows now. They feel they've got to go out on Amazon and eBay and buy all the brand new top end stuff. And it's funny that I tell them, it's like, hey, look, man, all you need is a digital recorder, okay, a notebook, a pen, a flashlight. Flashlight's your number one piece of gear. And, a digital camera, with a 15 to 25 foot flash. And of course, I would say get like a 16 or even higher card for it because you'd be taking a lot of photos.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And, go out with somebody who is very based and has their feet on the ground and is, debunk stuff first and get a little training and you're good to go. You don't have to go out and buy, spaghetti colanders and put a bunch of wires on them and a scanner saying that you're talking to ghosts, or purchase obelisks that have, I could go on about all the stuff that's out there that I think people are spending money on. They don't need to. I do like REM pods. I do agree with what they do. And a K2 meter, if you use it right, get yourself a good one. Probably a tri-field, but they became expensive again. And, you don't have to go spend thousands of dollars. You don't have to go get a huge camera set up. I've got one, but you know how many times that I have used that now in the last 7 years? It's sitting in the case in the other room. And we've gone down to smaller amounts of cameras, even wireless with battery packs, because it's easier to set up than running wires.
Absolutely.
But it's a fun field, and you can find some answers, to the other side if you're earnest and have integrity about it.
Absolutely. You mentioned earlier you were hoping that we get more the scientific community involved in this, and I think it's starting to happen. It's starting to happen. The latest book from Diane Pasulka, who's a professor at North Carolina College or University, North Carolina University in Wilmington, I guess. And she wrote the book Encounters. And if you go through that book, it basically mirrors a lot of what I've know and what I've been talking about. And so this is a community where, and she's getting a lot of attention on various shows now, and talking about this thing. And she's a religion professor, and how this whole thing ties into religion. And of course, we talked about this earlier about how in the Bible all these things that have occurred, like Ezekiel, these wheels of fire and everything.
Yeah.
It's like, what is that? You know what it is? It's a UFO coming down,
Yeah,
folks.
man's reporting what he sees as to
Yep.
what he knew at
Yeah.
that point in time. Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Romans talked about these silver shields in the sky.
Yep.
And it's
I God, you're bringing up some great stuff, some fascinating stuff, because I always revert back to Trek because I'm a Trekkie, obviously. But it's funny, and Time Tunnel. I love that show when I was a kid because what better way to go back and observe this great experiment or these different things that are happening? Excuse me, way too much SpaghettiOs, I guess. In time, and I mean, it would, to me, it would be just great if I knew how to travel in time. I wouldn't worry about being seen too much, because we're traveling fast or
right.
invisible. And let's say you could go see, certain battles, certain things being, happening, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And now you've got a point of view, a personal point of view. Or if it was for historical value in the future, to say now we filmed these things, and now the kids of the future, these children or whoever, they can actually look at these videos of actual history.
Well, this is interesting because that Rendlesham Forest case, in 1980, basically what the guys were saying was that these were time travelers that had come back 40,000 years in the future, from the 40,000 years in the future. And right away, I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, if we can time travel and you can go backwards as well as forward, that's incredible. The first thing I would want to do is to watch them build the pyramids. Okay.
Oh,
That would
yes.
be that would be number one. And then number two would be in Peru, the structures at Sacsayhuaman, with those massive megalithic stones that are fit together. It's like they were poured. And that's what I still think that's how they did it. Somehow they got this thing to be liquefied like cement, but then with the ingredients that they used, it turned into this stone. If you notice on some of the stones, there's two little tits that come out, these two little protrusions. And I always
Yeah.
wondered, it's like, this is where they poured the stuff in somehow, and that got left, and they didn't knock it off, or they just left it that way for
Yeah.
whatever reason.
Well,
But I
even
would love to go see those types of things.
yeah, I think you're right with the pyramids, because even the shafts. I was watching a recent documentary. I watch a lot of these, and they were talking about the new discoveries of shafts and stuff that don't seem to make sense. And then they discovered a few new rooms that they didn't know were in there.
Mhm.
And you're right, there's still just a controversy. It's like, well, let's say they built it from the top down, but then how the hell did they do that? Because we couldn't do it from the bottom up either. So they've done every angle. They thought maybe they were building it, putting it up in a not a circumference, but building it as they go.
Circular, yeah, circular.
And there's engineers and mason engineers that were looking at that, said, well, it's a possibility, but look at the size And how would they pull those blocks from the bottom up to the top as they're building up and up and up from the
Yeah.
inside?
Yeah.
It's mechanically impossible, even for fulcrums and pulleys. I mean, these are tons and tons of
Yeah.
stone.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
as you said, they're cut in such a way that, that's true, that you can't even fit a piece of paper in between some of these things.
Hmm.
It's
Yeah.
it's
No.
it's
Well,
insane.
the latest theory that I heard is the fact that these stones were also poured, that they were created. They weren't quarried, which they definitely have quarries where they found where the stone came from. So this latest
Right.
theory, I don't think it holds a lot of water, but I mean, people are throwing a lot of different theories at it, and this French team evidently came up with the fact that yes, there are corridors internal that snake around the pyramid all the way
Yep.
up to the top. And so that they were able to, with not a huge incline, move these stones in some way, shape, or form. Again, as you say, these things are tons, and so
Yeah.
how do you move those kind of things? But you know, ancient history is rife with all these mysteries that we
It's
just
very fascinating. Yeah.
how did they do these things back then when their tools were basically,
Well,
copper tools, which, they're soft. How do you do something with this stone with these soft tools?
who knows? And at the same time, too, you have to ask yourself, because they were finding all sorts of inventive wonders,
Yeah.
that they weren't as rudimentary or dumb as, not dumb, but
Mhm.
they weren't as rudimentary and simple as we thought. They had a lot of things that were way ahead of the time. And then you ask yourself, it's like, well, okay, you have these tunnels in there. How did they see in there without torches? Because there's no soot marks. Where,
Yeah,
where,
that's another thing.
and
Yeah, well, they had electricity.
yeah, yeah, right, right. I talked to an Egyptologist. We met one last year, and she's like, "Well, we think it was done with mirrors." Like, no, no, come on now. They tried that experiment, and there's not enough,
Light,
mirror
light
and
there.
light in there to keep that going only to a certain distance. So I don't
Mhm,
believe that for a second. And they built a battery out of the hieroglyphic
mhm,
version that they discovered, and the stupid thing worked. It was light bulbs for its day.
mhm,
So I wouldn't put it past them to have done at least that. But yeah, there's so many more wonders. And I don't think we have to lay everything at the foot of aliens. But then when you're seeing hieroglyphics that look like helicopters and planes and other things, that is not a bird. That looks like an Apache helicopter.
mhm.
Clearly, it is not a bird.
Yeah.
Here's bird. Here's this. This looks like a plane. That's not it. This looks like a man in a spaceship blasting off wearing a spacesuit. So, I don't think that I don't think we want it so bad that we're seeing something that isn't there. It's right
Mhm,
there.
mhm.
It's right. It's right in our face.
Yeah.
And I got interested in this end of it too last years ago with Van Daniken and all of his books,
Oh,
and
yeah.
and the Sasquatch thing was my first love.
Mhm.
Still into it, and then the paranormal thing started happening to me around 5 years old. So I think I was given a gift, and I was dumped into this pot to try to do what I can. And not that I'm a big voice, because I haven't done the things you've done, and I haven't written only maybe one book, two books, okay, and they're nothing to scream about, trust me. But I just try to come out here and share the word with anybody that'll listen to me, and
Right.
that's
Well,
that's what I do.
it's important. It's important what you're doing. And I thank you for that, and thank you for having me back on your show. I really appreciate it because that gives me an opportunity to talk about Opus. What we do. We got started in 1994, so we've been doing this now for 30 years, and trying to
Wow.
help people with their paranormal experiences, and by the online support group, confidential online support group, referrals to mental health practitioners and hypnotherapists, and then a triage group, or EST, that is able to talk to people when they reach us for help.
30
Uh,
years. years. Wow.
Yeah, 30 years. Yep,
Still
30
thinking
years.
that you said that. That's a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're a nonprofit, a 501c3 nonprofit, so we depend on donations. So if anybody listening to the show, you can go to our website at opusnetwork.org. There's a donate button there. We'd appreciate that. We also are looking for more therapists. So if there's a therapist happen to be listening tonight, you know, give us a call, contact us. There's a contact button on our website as well, where you can get a hold of us. And we would love to have you on board. And just you know, for those people that are looking for help, or if you know of other people that are looking for help, have them go to our website. I
Yeah,
think
it's opusnetwork.org. And
Yep,
what state are you in?
I'm in Texas.
Oh, the great state of Texas.
I'm in Texas, but our organization was founded in California, and our official mailing address is in Sacramento, California. Um, but people contact us basically through the website, and we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube. If you go to YouTube, you go to Opus separate word network, and then it'll come up, and you can go there and you can see a lot of the interviews that I have done with people. And So and we have a lot of information, a lot of articles, a lot of documents. You mentioned research earlier. We've done research. We did the omega-3 study back in 2007, um, and where we took 71 people that claimed that they were experiencers, and we had 51 people that were the control group, and we found out that these people did not have a psychopathology. They were not crazy. Um, they weren't fantasy prone, which a lot of debunkers talk about. Um, their worldview changed significantly after they had these experiences in a good way, where they were told, look, we need to be better. We need to be better stewards of the planet. We need to be kinder to one another. We need to be more loving. These are all wonderfully positive things. And we also found out that their temporal lobe activity was different than the control group. So that's something that we're looking into right now. And we just finished the first phase of the omega-4 study, where we went out to therapists and got their feedback. And that information, both the omega-3 and the phase 1 of the omega-4 study, is on our website. So you can look at that and get the information. And the one thing that one of the interesting facts that came out of it was that most people, when they come to these therapists, they talk about the grays. The grays were the number one thing that people talked about. And it almost invariably, people would talk about the fact that they had contact with these grays, but then there was also, the short grays, and then there was tall grays that were in on board the craft, all also along with a mantid type, okay, or a reptilian type. But invariably, every one of the experiences, a gray was involved to some degree. It's almost like there's a universal store out there where all these different races can go and pick up. It's like an iPhone store, but a gray store.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
I need two grays. Come on, because they
yeah.
do the dirty work. Because you know we tend to be kind of nasty people sometimes. When you get scared, you reach out. I've had experiences tell me that they've punched these grays, and one of them even told me that he tore off an arm, and this it was like no reaction whatsoever. So this is, people talk about the fact that these are robotic biological entities of some sort. um, there's so much to this phenomena that we're digging into. In the second phase of the um, omega-4 study is actually going out to the clients of these therapists and getting their feedback. And we're
Right.
we're doing a like a 200 questionnaire. Oh my God, it's really big. Um, and but I think we're gonna gain some new insight into what's really going on, even to the extent of understanding the personalities of these entities, you know,
Yeah.
and we're trying to get a better handle on that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to ask where you might be with, as I said, Dr. Lynch outlined some things that, and there's many like him that I have listened to. I've watched documentaries on, watched their interviews. As I said, there's a lot of different points of view in this field, along the line with anything we talk about. There's always different points of view, opinions, whatever. This is how it goes. This is what it is. What it is, and where I'm going with this is that, he was alluding to the fact that it's much like a federation of aliens in
Hmm.
that we have a couple that are protectors of us, who are trying to make sure that bad things aren't being done or happening by others that are here, because there's some neutral ground, if you will, that involves us as this great experiment. And he outlined a few of them. And, you know, I I don't think it's a conspiracy or it's too far fetched to maybe put that into a point of view. Looking out on the stars, it's funny that I have you on tonight, Les, because I just watched the documentary about I'm going to butcher the name, the Picoyaqua Bay, Pic, in 73, 74, when the two fishermen, um, Parker and I forget the other guy's name.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Pascagoula.
Yeah, Pascagoula, that's what it was. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah, Pascagoula. Sure. Yeah, I know.
Interesting to watch, and
Hmm.
he just died. The younger
Yeah,
gentleman just died last year after doing this interview,
right.
and the son of the older gentleman.
Mm.
Um, and it's interesting that there were more people coming forward now that in that area had actually seen something going on
Right.
at the same time.
Yeah.
Yet those two people who were working the bridge didn't see anything at all. So then you ask yourself, cover up, but it's that type of stuff that still engages me.
Hmm.
These guys had nothing to gain other than ridicule,
Right.
and they were looked at and they were put under hypnosis. They truly had this experience.
Hmm.
I was told by a guest, I think I told you that before, that I've had on here, and I'm forgetting who it was. I always want to say June Lundgren because she's very interesting to talk to, because she's into this too. That one of them, I forget who it was, told me that I was an abductee because I had some
Hmm.
missing time, and I
Hmm.
continued to be abducted,
Hmm.
and that shocked me. That really shocked me. I sit here now talking to you, kind of wondering if it still takes place. Um, I don't think I'm against it. I don't think it's done
Well,
any harm to me, but
well, one of the things you just brought up something that I've been thinking about. I've got a new theory, basically, that I believe that we've all had an experience, whether we consciously remember it or not. I mean, if you go back to 1992 when the Roper organization did a poll that Bud Hopkins, David Jacobs, and Robert Bigelow were involved in, they came up with a number like in the United States alone, there was like 6 million people that had an experience.
wow.
6 million. Okay. So fast forward in time, and this is an international phenomena. It's not just relegated to the United
So
States.
so billions, yeah,
So
yeah.
there's, yeah, and so what it is that this is a process that's going on to bring us to the next level, okay, of understanding, increasing our consciousness about these types of things. And hopefully, if everybody comes away after an experience saying that we need to be better stewards of the planet, okay, we definitely need that.
Yeah.
We are screwing up the planet. You know, we're overheating it right now with all this fossil fuel that's going on and everything. Okay, and then also being kind to one another, being more loving, being that is all very positive. So eventually, if we all will reach critical mass, if we all feel that way, we'll reach critical mass, and maybe we'll stop having all these freaking wars, right? Spending all this money on the military, which is such a waste of time. okay? Because you got all these crazy guys out there that, you know, they need to increase their ego, or their ego is taking over and say, well, no, you can't do that. I'm going to do this, or I'm going to take over this because I want it. What the hell is that all about? Why we can't
From day
just,
one,
why can't we all
we were
get along?
created. Yep, day one. You want what your brother has. Yeah, isn't that crazy? It's crazy.
Man, I tell you,
I'm glad we got military, because you got
well,
people out there that want to take what you want. But
yeah,
I get what you're saying.
yeah.
We have to have that in order to maintain a
Well,
peace. But
we have to go through this process.
Jesus,
Yeah, we
these
have.
people in the Middle East over there, I'm just like, you guys have
Well,
got to figure it out.
well, they've
I'm
been
not
doing this for thousands of years.
right, and we keep getting in the middle of it. I'm like, just yeah,
Thousands of years.
I'm not saying don't get involved, but who's the person who brought peace to that region? Nobody else did. And now we know, whether you like the guy or not, it happened.
Mhm.
Okay? That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say.
All right.
And I'm with you. I think these beings are looking at us like these stupid bastards that still are not getting the picture. They don't understand what they can possibly do to each other and where it may end. And I'm not trying to throw a nuclear scare, but I'm a big fan of Fallout. I mean, if that doesn't make you wonder, and there's underlying things there about corporations dropping some of the bombs. It wasn't necessarily a war.
Yeah.
And that was to keep their vaults going and make their money and to control. And
well,
I didn't mean to get off target here, but
no.
The aliens are trying to tell us, I believe there is a message with some of them that you guys, you got to rethink this. This may have happened on their world. It could have happened elsewhere. As far as I'm concerned, we already did this to Mars. Okay. I'm going to say it outright on this program that I think that maybe we are from Mars, and we are the ones who decimated it and ruined it, doing probably what we're doing now. And it does. I really totally believe that, because the more and more you see the surface, the more NASA hides. I would not trust NASA to tell me the sky is blue at this point, because there's so much in the government's pocket. It used to be a good thing back in the day. Just don't get me started on that. But I think if we weren't from there, we at least traveled to there. We were there and we ruined it. I think, nuclear, or we ruined the environment, whatever it is we did, it's gone. Now there's remnants of water, which would tell you that there should be life and organisms. There's other things that I was looking at images today. It's like, that looks like there's still some water flow going on somewhere. And what are you supposed to think? What are you supposed to think? And I'm glad I have enough of an open mind to think for myself that I am not easily swayed by newspapers, media, social, nothing. My mother was very good at teaching me to look at everything, even the bad, look at everything and just, does it seem right or does it seem wrong? And then be informed. I think so many people are smart, but they're not informed. You can be as educated as any professor is, but be so uninformed on all sides of a thing, and you still get it wrong, because you've already formed an opinion before you went into something.
Right.
And that's why I don't like skeptics. Skeptics, they're already set. They're like, God could come down and punch them in the face and say, I am God, punch you in the nose, and then disappear. And they're like, that wasn't him. I'm hallucinating. I guess. I get on the soapbox, Les. Sorry.
Well, you just triggered something. You talked earlier about the two groups, okay, or two sides to this thing. You got the good aliens and the bad aliens, if you will.
Yeah.
And that they've been so far, the good aliens have been winning, because according to some people, we definitely have some bad aliens that are trying to screw up our situation here. Couple of things. there was this psychic woman, and I believe it was either Romania or Bulgaria, who's since passed away. Uh, Baba Yaga, I believe, was her name, and she predicted the Twin Towers incident. She predicted also a number of other things. Have like a 80 to 90% hit rate
Wow.
on her predictions. She also talked about the fact uh, that in 2027 that a large asteroid is going to hit the Earth, and which is going to cause all hell to break loose, evidently. Now, a number of years ago, okay, or shortly thereafter, she came out with that prediction. NASA went to Japan at a conference, and they talked about this was an example. Okay, this was a study. Okay, but saying that if an asteroid hit the Earth, and their time frame was 2027, and they had a chart of where it was going to hit in the Pacific, and so you start wondering about this. And then the other thing that she said about this asteroid hitting is that it was being directed by an alien force.
Oh
Uh,
boy.
yeah, and which also reminded me of this retired Israeli general that wrote a book recently, a couple of years ago now, I think it is. And he talked about the fact that we have been having relations with these aliens, whoever those aliens are, um, that they have an agreement, that there are uh, bases on the moon, there are bases on Mars, and he brought up the question of whether or not we were prepared to understand that the aliens are here and working with us. And the aliens said, no, we're not ready to understand that at this time. But I think we're getting very close to that. And if this prediction of Baba Yaga is true and NASA's exercise, as they called it, is true, then you better party now because after that asteroid hits, it's going to be a tough go.
Yeah, I was listening to Tyson talk about that, where I think his was 69, that
Hmm.
it comes close enough that if there was a shift with
Hmm.
us,
Hmm.
just a slight shift, we would suck it in and it was going to nick us, more or less hit us.
Hmm.
And, you know, you wonder, man, you wonder because the moon didn't get that way by accident. And there's still so much controversy about that too. It'd be fun
Well,
to have
you
another
know,
show about that. About where did it come from? Where did
well,
it
you,
come from?
what's another also interesting is what NASA has done with trying to divert these objects.
Yeah,
Sending that missile. So I mean, they know something. They know something, and they're not telling us.
nope. Because panic,
Yep.
worldwide panic. I
Yeah.
understand. I get it.
Yeah.
I get
Yeah.
it. There's, panic,
Yeah.
and let's just
Mhm.
be honest. You and I understand. I
Yeah.
think you and I understand. It's like
Yeah.
if this thing is going to hit, what panic? Where are you going to go? There's
Yeah. What
where are
what are you
you
gonna?
going
Yeah.
to go that you think you're
Yeah.
going to be safe?
Well, yeah. If it hits in the ocean, that's one thing. But the that doesn't mean anything because, of course, that asteroid that hit Earth that wiped out the dinosaurs hit in the ocean too.
Yeah, yeah, it did. And there was some things that survived, obviously,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Yeah. Good old
yeah,
mammals. The mammals.
get all mammals, but and then you see
All
all these
right.
tunnels and stuff that are
Yeah.
built, but
Yeah. All
we'll
right.
have to have come back on and we'll talk
Yeah.
about that. We'll go on
So
about that for 2 hours. It's all
sure.
good.
You got
It's
it.
all
You
good.
got it.
You're fun to talk
Okay.
to.
All right.
Well, stay healthy, buddy.
Hey, you too. And I'm glad you're getting better. And
Yeah, yeah.
just Keep fighting. Keep
got
fighting.
this little heart monitor in here, and we're doing okay. We're doing
Oh,
okay.
good. Good.
Got a little
That's good.
AFib, but hey, I'm gonna keep doing what I
Yeah,
do.
well, that they can control that. That's something you're taking a medication for that, I assume.
Yep, taking good
Yep.
old Eliquis.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Eliquis. Yeah, boy, that's not cheap either.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm on a good program, so I'm doing
Oh,
well.
good.
But
Oh,
I
good.
wanted to
All
thank
right.
you for being on here. Tell them one last time where they can find you, Les.
Yeah, please, everybody, go to opusnetwork.org. You can read all about us there, what we do and how we do it. And like I said, if you have the feeling that you might want to help us out, you can donate on our site there. And also go to our YouTube site and subscribe. We're looking for more subscribers so we can maybe monetize that situation. So whatever you can do, we greatly appreciate it, and it gives us the opportunity to help more people.
And you can find this broadcast on Unrestricted Paranormal Network as well as Unrestricted Paranormal at not Yahoo. It's Unrestricted Paranormal YouTube. And you can find it on my network as well. And we thank everybody. And we will see everybody next time right here on Paranormal Notebook. Everybody have a good night.
All right.
As always.
Dan, thank you so much.
Oh, no worries. Thanks for being here.
All right.
Please treat each other with kindness. It doesn't cost any of us anything to be nice to one another, okay? Seriously. I don't care what side of the fence you're standing on. A handshake and a smile will make the difference. You can agree to disagree without violence, without name calling. And, if you can really understand that, everybody's going to be that much better for it. Don't let the bad guys win. All right. We'll see you next week on Paranormal Notebook. Everybody have a great weekend.
All right. You too.